The JKS fixed length front lower control arms are for those of you that have a 2007 and up JK that has a lift kit on it and are looking for a longer set of control arms in order to fix your castor and your pinion angle. Now, of course, these are going to be fixed lengths, so you're not going to get all of the adjustability that you would with an adjustable set of control arms. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You're also not going to get quite as much articulation out of a set of control arms like this because these have rubber bushings on both ends instead of having a spherical style joint on one or on both ends. But the benefit to something like this is that it's going to be a little bit less expensive than those adjustable and those arms that have some more articulation. So if you're looking to save a little bit of money and you don't need those additional benefits, then these are going to be an excellent option for you. This is going to be something that installs pretty easily onto your Jeep. I'm going to give it a 1 out of 3 wrenches, probably about an hour, maybe a little bit more to get both sides installed, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. In general, JKS makes a very high quality product, and I think that this absolutely goes right in line with everything else they build. Very, very high quality, very, very strong. Those lower control arms are the control arms that are going to get beat up when you're on the trail. So you do want something that's going to be big, beefy, and strong. In the ends of the control arms, you want something that, again, is going to be strong and hold up. You don't want these bushings wearing out on you and starting to make noise or cause a wobble. And this is going to be something that you can install on your Jeep and is going to last a very long time. And I think it's very affordably priced for the quality that you're going to get. These are going to be 2-inch round tubing that is 1/4 inch wall thickness, and this is DOM or Drawn Over Mandrel tubing, which is very, very strong tubing. This is what they make roll cages out of. This stuff is very, very solid. It is going to, of course, be covered with this black powder coat finish. If you spend a lot of time on the rocks, I don't care how good the finish is, eventually you're going to rub a little bit off the bottom, but at least in the beginning, this is going to keep these protected from any rust and corrosion and also keep them looking pretty good as well. So these are going to be a total of 3/8 inch longer than stock. And the reason for that is that when you lift your Jeep, you're rolling both of your axles so that the pinion is going to be a little bit higher. Now, what that can cause in some more extreme situations is a vibration because of your drive shaft angles and the U-joints in your drive shafts. But specifically here, we're talking about up front, you're also affecting your castor angle. And the castor angle is what affects how the steering wheel recenters itself while you're driving down the road. So you make a turn, you start accelerating, you can pretty much just let your hand off the wheel and it'll turn back and recenter your Jeep again. That's because of the castor angle, among other things, but the castor angle of that front axle. So when you roll the axle due to a lift, you're eliminating some of that castor and you can actually get what equates to a flighty feeling when you're driving down the highway because the wheel just isn't recentering itself like it should. So something like this, a longer lower control arm, will unroll that front axle, giving you a little bit of a more stock castor angle. So that's what this is really about. That's the idea behind going with a longer set of control arms. Now, if you really want to be able to dial in that castor angle, you're gonna want to go adjustable. If you're somebody who does a ton of off-roading, big rocks, you want a ton of articulation, these rubber joints are very strong. They're gonna hold up very, very well for you, but they're not going to give you as much twist as a spherical joint would. So again, if you want those other options, if you are going to take advantage of those other features and you have a higher budget, those options are out there from JKS and from other brands. If you don't need all of that and you want to save some money, I think this is a very nice way to go. A pair of these control arms comes in at $225. As I said before, if you're going to go with an adjustable set or a set with spherical ends, you can expect to pay more. For a fixed set, this is probably going to be medium high on the price range. You can probably find a set that's less expensive, but they're not going to be 1/4 inch DOM. They're not going to have the same Clevite rubber bushings in the end here. Overall, they're just not going to have the same build quality. I think that this is going to be a very well-built piece for the price. Now we're going to have a member of the install team show you how these get bolted onto your JK.
So now that we have our Jeep in the air, the first step is going to be to support the axle evenly. We're going to compress the suspension so we're roughly at about stock ride height. Then we're going to remove one of our control arms. So we're going to begin by removing our passenger side lower control arm. We're going to use a 21mm wrench and a 21mm socket. So now we're ready to install our new JKS control arm. We want the curve to face inward at the bottom. So we're gonna get this bottom bolt started first, and then we'll get the top in. So now that we have our lower bolt in, we're ready to install the top bolt. Since these control arms are slightly longer, we're going to need to shift the axle forward. So we're going to use a pry bar in here to pry that forward and get that bolt in. So now we're ready to do our other side. We're going to do the same thing. Now that the stock one's out, we're ready to install our new control arm. Same thing goes, the bend wants to go at the bottom towards the inside. So we're going to get the bottom started first. And since we already did the other side, this one should line right up. So now that we have both sides in, you're ready to tighten everything up. So now that everything's tightened up, you're going to want to torque these to factory specs. Then you can remove your pole jacks. However, that wraps up our review and install. For more videos like this, check us out at ExtremeTerrain.com.